So I'm in the Cook Islands and I've been shooting some photographs and doing some video, and I've been using something called an ND filter, or a neutral density filter. So what is one of those? It's one of these bad boys. And what it does is it reduces the amount of light that gets into your camera. So why would you want to do this? Well, if you reduce the amount of light getting into your camera, what you can do is get a lovely slow shutter speed. And that slow shutter speed will blur anything that moves. So if you're photographing clouds or you're photographing water, it will smooth them out and give your photograph a lovely dreamy effect. ND filters are also used a lot in video because you shoot with a slower shutter speed. That lets a lot of light into your camera, so sometimes the only way to compensate is by putting an ND filter on the end of the lens to reduce the amount of light getting into the camera and giving you a really good exposure. If you buy a cheaper filter, it will give you a color cast, which may make your photographs go green or a little bit blue. So what I tend to do is spend a little bit of extra money and get a good quality filter. As you can see, these filters also come in different strengths, and these are measured quite differently between each manufacturer. Working out these strengths can be a little bit confusing, so what I'd suggest you do is, if you can, go to a photo shop and have a talk to the people there about what you want to achieve, and they'll recommend the best filter for you. You can also get something called a variable ND filter. And what this does is attaches to the end of your camera and you can rotate it. As you rotate it, it actually reduces the amount of light getting into your camera. So it's quite handy. Instead of buying a whole lot of separate filters, you can only use one. There is a drawback with one of these, and that is that it does reduce your image quality a little. Also, sometimes when you're photographing with a flash and your background is too bright and your subject is dark, you increase the amount of light that your flash is putting out, and then you can also reduce the amount of light or the ambient light in the background by putting on an ND filter, and you can get a lovely, moody and well exposed image. So how do you use the filters? As previously mentioned, you screw them into the end of the camera. You need to get a filter that's the same diameter as your camera lens. You can usually find the diameter on your camera lens by looking at the front of the lens, and it's usually written there. Once the filter is attached, you adjust the camera settings manually. Just a tip, if you're going for long exposure photography, make sure that your camera is mounted securely on a tripod. That will stop any of the image shake coming from the camera and give you a nice clear image and the items in your image that are not moving. That's it from me. I hope you've learned something, and I'll catch you later.